Greetings. My name is Skylar. I've wanted to do this for some time now, and I think the time is right, and it's perfect. I want to introduce you to SUPERCASE. SUPERCASE is a simple, straightforward program to help protect people from government oppression and forced incompetence. For the past 5 years, and actually a few decades, I've been a lifestyle spy. Observing behavior, observing the African American experience, and being curious and observing the family, the African American family, slowly and methodically be torn apart. And I always wondered why this was happening to uncles who would be younger than I am today, some of them my age. And within the last 5 years, I've gotten my answers. The state began a program. It's always been in effect those who belong to the shadow government. I've actually seen a video of them from the 70s in action, and their plans I've actually experienced in the real world. So 5 years ago, living in the Bay Area, I began to have these odd encounters with police. It's almost like some type of a visceral reality, like I've been put into this, I don't know, I've just noticed things, and then I've experienced them or gain some understanding. I'm going to seek your support. I just want to get to the point. I'm going to seek your support to produce a care package, or what I would call an emergency law kit, to help, not only help people who are being unscrupulously injured by this judicial ecosystem and all of its tentacles, which I've been investigating, and I've been inside of the belly of the beast. My first time in jail, I realized that this emergency law kit would be very helpful for some people. Imagine 5 years ago, I would notice police pulling people over who it was obvious they were having a hardship. And I thought, and at that time I was driving a brand new Lexus. It was a 2007 IS250, brand new off the lot. I bought it new off the lot. I had some money, I was doing okay. Ended up having a son, started a corporation, doing mortgages, and started my first corporation, EcoBank funding. But at that time I was on the fence. I was trying to decide if I was going to make this vision happen that I had, or just stick with the mortgage thing, and so I decided to I decided to go with this aspiration, this intention, this goal that I wanted to accomplish, and it wasn't really set in stone. It wasn't. I just knew what it was going to look like, and this many years later, it is still in the process of becoming, and I am much closer today than I was in 2003 when I initially set this intention. I was set to move to Arkansas, and about a month before I moved, I got a police officer had came up to my. I don't want to go into all the the specifics because I want to keep the video kind of short. Hopefully under 10 minutes, it'd be nice, right? He comes up to my window. I'm eating Crazy Bread. I said, "Why did you get behind me?" He says, "Well, I thought you were drinking a beer." I don't know about you, but they sell root beer in beer bottles. They sell all types of. They sell Izzy in beer bottles. So what does a beer bottle look like? Well, long story short, that wasn't his intention. I give him my car insurance and license, and he wouldn't accept it, and he towed my car. And I went the next day and paid $300 to get it taken out. A month later, we moved to Arkansas. Had a situation occur in Arkansas where I got assaulted, and the person that I helped move his things down there, he was the guy who did, and I didn't know him very well, but it was like a business trip. And for my partner, so I took him to court and called the prosecutor several times. She never returned my call. Now this is the beginning. All of this is the beginning of this story that I'm getting ready to tell you, and that I'm getting ready to expound upon, so we could create some accountability in the justice system, help those who would be its targets, what they call target rich, which was a term that was used by the African American who went rogue in LA and began killing cops because of the dirt that they were kicking up. And he wrote a manifesto, which I read. Target rich is a term that I understand now. You have to understand that I just read the sheriff's some information on their webpage. They have it set in stone that they arrest 65,000 people a year in this county. For you to have a specific number says a lot. It means that you have determined that there's an economic, metric that you're going to always use in terms of when cops are told to go out and give tickets, how frequent, all this type of stuff. And so they are keeping us, or attempting, and they've done a good job at keeping their ecosystem going, destroying families, keeping people poor. Now, my challenge, economic challenge, has only been exacerbated by their persistence. And maybe I'll get into that in another video. But because I have a broker's license in this state, and I'm intelligent, I have credibility. But what I've noticed is that, damn, if I can be arrested, how many times has it been now? 5 times, I think. Detained about 9 times in the span of 18 months while riding my bike, because I either didn't have a bike light, a reflector was missing here, whatever they wanted to find. Have a couple cars taken. This is all by the state. Go to jail twice on warrants, serve 8 days, get assaulted by one of the COs, and still go to court on my court day and not make any pleas and walk out of there when they want me to stay 30 days until trial, when I'll be looking crazy, and of course the jury won't know any better. my experience in Arkansas taught me that it was a charade. And so when I came back from the Bay to Arkansas and back, I had experiences in Arkansas too. So when you hear about Sandra Bland, and you hear about, the Mike Browns, I was right into that. I was in the thick of it. That was a good trip for me. But I uncovered some amazing spiritual things, dealing with crystals and quartz crystals and doppelgangers, and I think Arkansas is probably a wonderful place for the right type of consciousness. I was sitting in the diner one day and a cop comes in and says, "Can you come outside?" And I'm like, I'm on the phone with somebody in California and I haven't ordered yet, but this is where I eat all the time. He wants me to come outside. Like, what do you want with me? I was like, so, and this cop getting vehemently angry, turning red, flush, like he wanted to do something. I was in the thick of the Michael Brown situation. That was in 2010 to 2011. Yeah. I'm going to tell my full story, but suffice to say, I'm somebody with credibility who's been able to go into the court and understand the game of nationality and understand the fraud that is being perpetrated on the people. So this is all about this is all about a crowdfunding campaign, is it not? So forgive me for the length of the video. The first time that I went into this jail, for what? For absolutely, I haven't done a damn thing yet. The law says that you have to hurt persons or property, right? Well, I'm a person, and according to the state, because I have a birth certificate, I'm property too. So they thought they could abuse property and person, and they should pay for that. When I was in lockup one time, I've been there, and you go to detention and they let you out on your own recognizance. 3 times I think I've been to, 3 times I've been to holding. I was on my way to work. Twice I was on my way to work, maybe more, and then one I was coming home from work. They've been using me as a training day exercise. I've experienced it all, and one of their more established COs, correctional officer, had said to me that the penal code system has increased about 2,000% in 20 years. You know what that means, ladies and gentlemen? Chew your bubble gum wrong and they can come get you. So this product that I'm going to create is something that's going to help people protect themselves with very little knowledge of what to do and how to do it. See, what they're going to do is they're going to assault you, and they're going to violate your substantive rights, and they're going to violate your due process rights up front. Now, we can count on them doing this because you understand they make money off of us in this country, United States and its creatures, which is California. They're all bankrupt, and so they get money whenever they can put people in jail. My issues began when I started riding a bike. I lost 3 cars, and I began riding a bike. And that's when I first got arrested, as a matter of fact, on my way to work. And that was based on a sting operation. It was a setup. I won't go into the details of how I know this and why I know this, but I know this. And they have facial recognition technology. Okay, they're using it. They won't tell the citizens about it, but they're using companies and software programs, third-party companies who have these capabilities. And this is what I know for a fact. Matter of fact, just to give you a little, just to throw it in, they were putting in some new cameras at the train station, and the tech guy, he was programming it up, and I asked him, I said, do they have facial recognition on these cameras? And he said, yeah, they do. There's a third-party company we use, and blah blah blah. Now, I catch this train, right? This is the municipal train. All the places where the people of melanin or Mexican And everybody uses the train, all people use it, but confluence of colored folks, if you will, using these stations. These all have cameras. One day I took the train all the way through, riding from all the way from Winchester all the way to Mountain View. And over in the Mountain View area, this is where they have, Northrop Grumman. Actually, it's the other one, their competitor. But those big companies, the government contractors, and this is over by Moffett Field. They have a train station over there. No cameras. Every train station, the train stations where, the big money is, the big wigs, no cameras. You can go out there, take somebody out there, murder, no cameras. But everywhere where the people, just the average folks are, is where all the cameras. See, it's an ecosystem is what I figured out, and they eat off of us. They are like labor unions, and they got to make sure that their retirement is going to be secure. And then also, there's a component where it deals with the secret societies, the Masons, all of the judges and magis being a part of this fraud. According to the Judicial Council, or the Council on Judicial Performance, they're supposed to be impartial, referees, but they're not impartial. They're serving two masters, the Constitution and also California, statute, which goes with the Constitution, has found loopholes to the Constitution, but still must, be subject to the Constitution should those of us get educated and go into the courtrooms and assert our constitutional rights, then a lot of times, unbeknownst to most of us, we would be protected from their schemes. These judges are not using discretion in the interest of justice, and how I've been able to gauge this is because, again, my background, I didn't have a record, had a motorcycle license, car license, no car accidents ever, a broker's license. I've been licensed as to work in group homes. I've done security. Have had a security license. I've had a pest control license at one time. So vetted, right? And I'm watching them, and I let them know, listen, I've been injured, assaulted. These things have been ongoing. If you look at the record, it's like back to back in 18 months. It's like he's not just going to dismiss it. They would rather see if I'm going to give in and be governed by their court process. And I never do. And so they have different tactics that they use. This is another obvious demonstration that the judge and everybody else is a part of it, of the scandal. They'll have bailiffs come into the courtroom. Sometimes, they only have one bailiff, but then they'll call it back up and they'll get everybody out of the courtroom, and they'll have like 4 different bailiffs pile in. They'll start putting on gloves. This is all part of the fear tactic to get you to go, hey, are they going to try and throw me in jail? What's going on here? So let me get to the point of the product. Thank you for staying tuned. I'll probably cut this video if I can. Cut the video if I can, and get to the meat and bones of this crowdfunding campaign. When I went to jail, I didn't see sunlight or moon for 5 days. That's my primal food. I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat meat anymore, okay? All they fed me was meat, mostly, and milk. And I don't drink milk at all. Give me some almond drink. I don't drink milk. The way they make the almond drink is thick as milk now, and so, no need to really have milk. Plus, it takes the calcium out of your bones and all of this kind of stuff. Actually, what does it do? No, the protein, I think, in the milk can take the calcium out. Anyhow, I didn't know how to use the phone. I used the phone. I typed in the numbers wrong too many times, so it turned off my privilege, and I wasn't able to even make a call. I had to use somebody else's account to make a call out because they put a limit on how many times you can mess up. So I messed up 3, 4, 5 times, and now I can't even make a call. Number one, that's the number one problem. Is number one reason we need an emergency law. Okay, number two, you don't have any phone numbers. They don't give you your digital. They don't give you your phone, so you don't have any phone numbers. So do you have your numbers in a backup somewhere? Do you have an emergency law kit at home that one of your loved ones, should something happen to you, it could get mailed off to you? Or so that our program could create a notification with these different courts. They, if you go to jail, we could mail you a packet right away so you get everything you need to defend yourself. Because, as I've discovered, public defenders are not going to defend you. Now, a lot of you are going to your logic is going to be faulty, because I talk to people about it and they go, well, of course they're not going to do a good job because they have too many case flow, they have too many files. And so this is, the type of thing is when you don't really know what you don't know what you're talking about. They're not going to defend you properly at all because they are part of the system. As a broker, I understand the brainwashing. When you're a broker and you take the test, they want you to be fearful about recourse, that if you do something wrong, you don't do it ethically. And then you have that tied in with the Realtors Association, and this is political component. And trust me, they tell these people what they want them to know. Let me ask you a question. As a broker, it was disturbing to me. I put two and two together. I said, okay, if Granny can't pay the $2,000 in taxes, she's going to lose the house. I don't like that. I want Granny to own the house. Not fee simple, absolute. No, the alloidial, patent, deed, whatever, right? Own this thing. The state cannot tax grandma. Now we know you can do it. That's good. But that was one of the things. I was a conscientious broker. But I understand the process of brainwashing. It's no different. The dynamics are no different with these public defenders. They're inside of a paradigm, and they're officers of the court. And I've watched them, and they all fear this magi, this judge. I don't. But that's because they don't know how to navigate people's rights potentially properly. Maybe they don't even know how to do it because they've got them caught up in this colorable court process. For example, I told the public defender on my behalf one time, I said, hey, I want you to put in a motion to suppress this address because he fabricated that just to gain joinder to say that I belong in this. And all that address, now they've changed it. Now it's the address out of town like it was on my old ID, right? See, so now they're trying to navigate and squiggle their way out of the crime, the fraud. But nonetheless, she says, no, I'm not going to do it. Bitch, I thought you worked for me. Right? Like if I'm a broker, right, and I'm helping the client, I can make suggestions. But if they're responsible human beings, they're going to ask me to explain why. And if they don't, after I've given them a good explanation, if they don't want to do it a certain way, then it's their choice at the end of the day. So if you're a public defender and you tell me you ain't going to do something, then bitch, you don't work for me. You do not work for me at all. You feel what I'm saying? And so I told her, she says, no, I'm going to do a pitches motion. I said, bitch, that's some court shit. That's some court discretionary shit. No, I don't care about no pitches motion. I want you to put a suppression. She didn't want to do it. Now, I'm not going to get to the whole story, but the bitch did a lot of fraud, okay? But nonetheless, within the conscripts, within, their paradigm, she's fine. She could do that. You see what I'm saying? Because this is the type of, so you're not going to get proper representation. So the emergency law kit would have forms, it would have affidavits, it would have national declarations if you want to use those, it would have your phone numbers, your contact information, it would have the key mail to addresses so that you can know precisely who you need to mail notice to if you want to pursue a counterclaim, in direct contrast to their, if you want to answer and put in a complaint or counterclaim to their charges or assertions against you, you want to have something that's already boilerplate, pre-done, has your constitutional things in it, right? And also, the emergency law kit, what I would aim to do is to put some documentations in there so you give the government notice up front. And it would also teach you some things so that you can get your, protect yourself. Because right now, if you just sign your name on your driver's license or your birth certificates or any other government document, you're not going to be protecting yourself with just that type of signing. You need to sign in a specific way to protect yourself. These people have been running game, and they haven't been telling you how the game works. When you send your kids to school to take driver's training, the Constitution says you don't even need that. Driving cannot be converted into a privilege, and if it is, it can be. You can engage in the right with impunity, meaning you can say F you and I'm going to do it. See, they're not teaching you this in high school because they're indoctrinating you into their specific model, their template. Now, as an African American watching this type of crime being committed against me, I started to think, damn, I can only imagine the brothers that ain't doing nothing and they getting railroaded, serving 3 months, 6 months so that they can make money on us. So this is modern slavery. So what the hell you think I'm going to do? I'm going to be the change I want to see. So when you invest your money, invest as much as you can, because, oh, I didn't tell you. So I don't do the real estate game anymore. Now, I'm a self-professed social designer. I do social design. I have a social design agency to address these type of issues right here. And my work involves product development, business design, ecosystem development, and unification. So, all in all, ecosystem, economy, and ecology. And my social design usually starts as a social art project. So, this is a straightforward product, but the money would be used for production, and the production would first put together an installation of social art. It would demonstrate or exhibit the SUPERCASE, the idea of SUPERCASE, how I envision it. You know, little black boys who ride bikes, who are target rich, wearing cameras. You know, we training them on how to engage and interface with police. All these types of things. Our end game is to be able to sue the government for their trespasses, but we need to, we need to do certain things, and then also to create an institution that can be long-standing. This is what the Jews did. They created institutions that were long-standing so that they could look out for their interests. So with this project, we will create a program for the people, because I'm here to nurture balance in the world. You know, it's not a race-based program. It's not really race-based. Partially. Definitely here to nurture some balance for the African, the free white persons, which is what the African Americans really are. They're free white persons. That's their natural status. They just don't know it yet. And then we want to convert this SUPERCASE into a business. So we start with social art, and then we're going to go into a business. And once it becomes a business, we will be able to fund the institution that will become long-standing, and it will be will bring that balance. We'll bring that balance. And so we use social design, we use business as a tool to bring social change into innovation and integration with the solution. So if all of these black folks are having a problem, just to give you an example, and we know the solution, Nike making so much money off of us could certainly help us with the funds that we would need to make this solution work. But Nike doesn't do this. So social design can, and it can develop, and it can gain the support of the people, because the people know we're looking out for them. Now, if you see somebody trying to use my idea, my concept, I wouldn't work with them at all. I wouldn't, because you don't know them. You don't know that most of the grassroots organizations are funded by some of the wealthy and the elites. Like the whole marijuana grassroots movement is actually funded by elites. You know, back in the founding of this country, one of the first industries they founded, or the European rather, came upon as something that could be could help them develop their economy, was tobacco. Started packaging it, but they got the idea from the Moors and the natives, the aboriginals. They started packaging and selling it in England, and it started growing their economy. They had housed some indigent white men for a long time on the land at no cost. Called them artisans. I love these ideas because you could just bring them back today. Simple as that. Called them artisans, and how ironic, though, now that we have all this disruption and the the economic boilerplate is disrupted, and the national identity is changing, and people's values hierarchy are changing. It seems like somebody's hit the reset button, and all of a sudden now they want to go ahead and legalize marijuana, and you think it's just grassroots and organic, and it happened organic. No. It's about as organic as that Black Lives Matter campaign. That's not organic. George Soros invested $25 million. My sources tell me, but I peeped it out. I remember calling a radio station that was supposed to be, very kind of liberal and open-minded, and I discovered this was in San Francisco. The radio station was, and I called them up, and it wasn't open. They were pre-screening people. They weren't going to let you get on the air and say what you wanted to say unless it was aligned with what they wanted you to say. So they would pre-screen you. What do you want to say? Blah, blah. You tell them. Okay, then they put you on hold and they'll let you through. But if you told them something they didn't want to hear, you got cut off. So this is when I started seeing, okay, this is how the game goes. A lot of people don't be knowing this type of stuff. That's my video. So I'm probably just going to post it just like this until I have some time to actually edit. Okay, but this is what I want to do with the project. I use business methodologies and tools that can bring this about, so no worries. What you talking about? Did I go 20 minutes? Oh, hell no. Damn. Alright, that's it. That's all I got. Giga speed.